Hello, Women's Congress. I'm Rebecca Allen representing Climate Healers. I am honored to introduce to you the founder and executive director of Climate Healers, a nonprofit dedicated towards healing the Earth's life support systems. He is an environmentalist by occupation and a systems engineer by profession. He invented the protocol for transforming early analog internet connections to more robust digital connections while accelerating their speed by tenfold. He is now a human earth animal liberation activist. He is championing a vegan rewilding systems solution to our global environmental health and ethical crises, a solution he calls Planet B. Dr. Sailesh Rao.
Thank you, Rebecca. I'm going to start sharing my presentation. And this is a presentation on Planet B, which is a systems engineering framework for achieving world peace and planetary health. How would you design something that would achieve that? And a system is a organized framework for accomplishing an objective. We have systems all around us. Our body has lots of systems. It has circulatory system, digestive system, and so on. And when these systems all work together, we are healthy and alive. But if any one system fails, it can bring down all the systems in our body and we could die, right? Similarly, the earth has systems for maintaining life. It's got a system for circulating water, system for maintaining oxygen in the atmosphere, and so on, and creates the conditions for life to thrive on Earth. Now, we have also built systems, human-engineered systems, and these systems are now in conflict with the life support systems of the planet, which is why we are seeing all these planetary health issues. There are 7 planetary boundaries that we have transgressed in the life support systems of the planet. And this is a planetary health check report that the Planetary Health Alliance has been issuing every few years. And this year, they said we have violated 7 planetary boundaries. And this is all color-coded. So if it's yellow, it's just violated. If it is orange, it's in danger zone. If it's red, it's likely to kill life as we know it if we leave it there. And if it's purple, it is potentially destabilizing the life support systems right now. Okay? So there are 2 violations that are in the purple zone, and that's biosphere integrity and novel entities. The next is nutrient flows, which is nitrogen and phosphorus loading. That's in the red zone. Climate change is also in the red zone, but it's the 4th worst violation. And media is focusing mainly on climate change. So I want to show you why they do that. And then the other 3 are land system change, freshwater change, and ocean acidification is the last one that got violated this year. Now, the good news is that we have a way to engineer a way out of this. Okay? And that's what I'm going to be talking about. The media focuses only on climate change because the media is using what I call the drunkard search principle. There's a story where a drunkard is looking for something under the light, and a policeman asks him, "What are you looking for?" And the drunkard says, "I'm looking for the keys I dropped on the other side of the street." The policeman says, "Then why are you looking for it right here?" The drunkard says, "It's because this is where the light is." That's exactly what we have been doing, addressing the planetary problems that we are facing. We are trying to find a solution that will grow the economy. That's the light under which we look for things in the current system. But if you look outside that focus on climate change, you will notice that the scientists already acknowledge that the food systems are the leading cause of biodiversity loss, leading cause of land system change, leading cause of freshwater use, leading cause of nitrogen and phosphorus loading. Anything that's shown in black dots is the role of the food systems. They already know that. Why is that? Because the food systems are using most of the biomass that we extract from the planet. This is a block diagram from the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. And it's really complicated, but you look at the size of the arrows that are coming out, that shows you how much of it we are taking for that purpose. And you see this livestock system is taking the biggest arrows, the thickest arrows. So we are taking more biomass from the planet for feeding our animals than we do for every other purpose combined. And the animals are giving us this little tiny arrow that's going out of that block. That's the food that we get from the animals. And there is another little line that goes out to other manufacturing. So they're not only feeding us, they're also giving us some clothing, some glue, things like that. Right? Now, I'm claiming that if we eliminate this block, livestock system block, you solve all 7 of the problems. You can engineer a new system in which all 7 problems are addressed. And this is a simplification that Rebecca did, basically looking at the left side of this and just highlighting just the food system. And when you do that, you notice, based on just the video that you just watched, only 1% of the land is used for cities and railroads and so on. 19% is unused land for deserts and mountains. 22% is monocultured trees. And it's considered as forests in the UN accounting, because they take anything that's trees and call it forests. If 10% of the land cover is trees. Original forests are only 9% of the land area of the planet. This is why wild animals are dying so fast. 37% is grazing land for our food animals. And half the cropland output is going to feed our food animals. And the animals are giving us 12% of the food we eat. Plus, of course, the skin and the blood and the bones for our coats and shoes and so on. 85% of the food we eat is already coming from plants. Okay? And that's coming from just half of the cropland output, so 6% of the land area of the planet. And 3% of the food we eat comes from the ocean, for which we are bottom trawling an area the size of South America every year to get that 3%. It's completely unsustainable, it's completely uneconomical. The only reason we are able to do these things is because it's subsidized by governments on planet A. Now, the solution to our problem is to turn this 85% into 100% and return this land back to nature. That's what I mean by the vegan rewilding solution. Vegan to me is an acronym, says vitally engaged guardians of animals and nature. We have to bring them into the fold as well. A way of living that seeks to exclude, as far as is possible and practicable, all forms of exploitation of animals for food, clothing, or any other purpose. And people come to veganism from 4 different portals: from ecological perspective, from health perspective, from spiritual perspective, or from an ethical perspective. Ultimately, we begin to see all 4 aspects of this transformation that's happening. And in a vegan world, where we don't use animals for any purpose whatsoever, we only need 9% of the land area of the planet to get our food and to get all our other clothing and shoes and so on from plant sources. And you can return 40% of the land back to nature and return the entire ocean back to nature. And when we do that, all 7 of these problems go towards the green zone. Okay? We can show you in detail how that happens in a vegan world. But to achieve that, you need a second loop. And this is again work done by Margaret Wheatley and Deborah Fries at the Berkana Institute. And they said that big living systems can never be changed from within. You can only abandon them and start over. This is their 2 loops theory of change. And that second loop is what I call Planet B. And Planet B can be engineered systematically. So how do you engineer Planet B systematically? It's through first establishing that the Planet A is intractable. So you have to validate the 2 loops theory of change. and then identify the foundational myths that drive planet A and replace them with foundational axioms on planet B. Then we have to drop invalid goals, because goals that are invalid optimize the system in the wrong direction. So we have to drop them and include valid goals that then will help all the other goals, and then design a new system to achieve these goals, and then find transition pathways. So it's just a systematic way to do this. And once you identify these transition pathways, then you have to make sure that you didn't create something else that's intractable. So this is why I have to keep going around in a loop. Okay? This is how you systematically engineer a new system that meets all of our objectives. First, establishing that legacy systems are intractable. I point out that colonialism is still going on, even though we abolished it in the 20th century. And slavery is still going on, even though we abolished it in the 19th century. Okay, it's just going on in different means, because we did not change the objective function of the system. And so these are the foundational myths on planet A: endless growth as the master objective, consumption and commodification as social logic, separation from nature and human exceptionalism. And from human exceptionalism, you also get other exceptionalism like racism and patriarchy. Misspecified responsibility for ecological breakdown, so pointing to just fossil fuels and not looking at the whole picture. And finally, thinking that there will be technological solutions for all our environmental problems. So just wait, somebody else is going to come up with a new gizmo that's going to solve our problems. These are all myths, and they need to be discarded. We need to create planet B on foundational axioms. Number one is interdependence of all life, non-violence and zero animal exploitation, sufficiency over growth, honesty and humility as design criteria. So we are just one species among many. We are not the boss of all the species. Universal provisioning within planetary limits. Make sure that everyone is fed. Distributed participatory governance, and technology subordinated to life. We are here as engineers and technologists to serve life, not to dominate them and not to be the boss of life. Drop invalid goals. And I start with the UN Sustainable Development Goals, because all nations have agreed to meet these goals by 2030. And I'm saying I'm willing to help you meet those goals, but you have to drop goal number 8, which is economic growth, because it's an invalid goal and it is making all the other goals difficult to meet, because everyone is trying to meet all the goals by just growing the economy, which is a deceptive game that they play. And include goal number 18, zero animal exploitation, because it makes all the other goals easy to meet. So when you put that together, you get this transformed SDGs, where you drop goal number 8 and include goal number 18. And now we can go and ask the 195 nations who have signed the SDGs, let's meet them. Let's meet these goals. Okay? And you have to do it as if our house is on fire, because our house is on fire. There used to be 3 planetary boundary transgressions in 2009. It became 4 transgressions by 2015, and 6 transgressions by 2023, and 7 transgressions in 2025. Literally, the planet is screaming at us saying, change the way you live. Otherwise, I'm going to kill you. Okay? So, because when a system collapses, we don't know what will happen. It could be that the oxygen disappears or whatever. And if that happens, then we are all going to die. This is why it's very, very important that we address these planetary boundary transgressions as quickly as possible. And I consider this to be the hero's marathon journey for humanity. We started this project 50,000 years ago when we migrated out of Africa and went to every part of the world. And over the last 10,000 years, we have been creating this homeostasis for planet Earth. But to get to that last leg, we have to make a U-turn, drop patriarchy and, all the good things that we need to do, and redesign our systems. But if you go straight, there's a clown standing outside a fast food joint, and he's going to kill you. So let's do this seriously, please. Thank you very much. This is the book I wrote. There's a Planet B. You can download it from this website. And there's a paper that I wrote, co-authored with Jared Bishop, that you can also download from that link. It's an academic paper.